for my capstone, I guess what I really wanted to do is share people's stories about what they deal with, and I wanted to express that in any way possible. So for me, that would be interviewing people, asking them what they deal with, how they've dealt with it, ways that they cope, if they get prescribed medication, if they don't, if they do other things, if they're prescribed and do other things. And I just wanted to learn as much as I possibly could about people. I find the mind of somebody very interesting, and I know how I deal with these things, and I wanted to learn how other people deal with these things. And I could have gone the basic interviewing people and then that would be it, telling their stories, but I wanted to incorporate what I want to do with my future, and that is expressing these things through photography. And what that means for me is really sitting down, talking to somebody, listening, learning, feeling their story, taking a picture of them and expressing who they are as a person now, how they've overcome it, or if they haven't overcome it, and expressing that, and then also taking what they've told me and trying to incorporate it and express it through my vision, along with working through their vision. So along with how they express it, how they would describe it. And I think that's very important because it makes a twist on it, but it also helps express how people do. I guess we could start off at step 1. I had 8 people I wanted to interview, and I got their permission to record their voice. I've made phone calls, I've met new people, I've also gone to people that I love dearly, and that one hurt the most because I hate listening to it, or like seeing my friends in pain. I hate hearing them talk about how they've wanted to hurt themselves in the past. And I guess just going with it, and I would sit down, I would ask them, have they suffered with anything, and then I would ask them, they could describe it in 3 words. We would sit down, we would talk about it, I would talk about how they would feel with it, and we'd have a conversation. We would just be sitting there and talking and listening and sharing our stories and comparing and contrasting them. And then my next step, which is transcribing it, writing their story, figuring out how I'm going to share their story, not only through my voice and expressing my voice, but expressing their voice and making sure that their story gets told. And I think that's one of the most important things, is because everybody has a story that deserves to be told, and I want to tell it. I want to be the person that gets their story out there. My 3rd step would be taking a picture of them, photographing them, taking a portrait that expresses their personality. And that's really important to me, to express their personality through this photo, because a portrait says 1,000 words about somebody. And if we're talking about something that has impacted their soul, has impacted their way of life, I don't want it to be a sit-down portrait, where someone just sits down and cheeses, I want it to be a portrait that not only shows who they are today, but also expresses who they were, what they've been through, how they've dealt with it. And I think that that is so important, and that's the hardest thing for me to capture in somebody. And when I capture that, I know I've succeeded at my job. The 3rd and final step, which is another reason why I wanted to do this project, was to kind of express how they're feeling through my work. And it's not a portrait, it's not something basic, it's something deep and meaningful that has a feeling, that shares and expresses their story through a photograph, whether it be a collage or just someone not physically present. That's what I want to do. And that's really what I've done throughout this project so far, is I've been interviewing people all week, and next week I'm going to sit down, buckle down, and think about what I want to do and how I'm going to express their stories, not through a photograph, not through a portrait, not through writing, but through a photograph. And that's the most exciting thing for me, is being able to tell their stories. everybody suffers through stuff that's the same thing, but differently. Like, I'm sitting here interviewing my best friends, and I'm realizing I've done the exact same things as you. I've been through the exact same things as you, and it's emotionally impacted us the same and differently. And it's expressing that everybody goes through different things, different levels of pain, worry, stress, insomnia, anything, anxiety, depression. We have similarities, but our stories are completely different. The way it has impacted us is completely different. So I think it's most important to find the similarities and find the differences in these stories that I'm telling, because I want to express it. I want to show people who are scared to speak up for themselves and their own mental health that there are other ways besides therapy. There are other ways, though therapy is very important, other ways besides medication and therapy that they can find help, whether it be through friends, whether it be through going for drives, any way possible for me, whether it be through taking pictures. I want to help share that, and I want to help provide other options for other people. So I'm sharing these stories to help others, and to share the stories of people that stories deserve to be told from, and to help those who are scared to ask for help.